In this video, I'll be showing you a team using YUI to score high against Atavaka. So for the boss, I'm just gonna breeze through this because I've explained this many times already. He has Berserk stack, so it does more damage as you progress through the fight. Fallout damage increased by 50%, more electric damage, and then make sure you have Guardian and Medic on your team. So for the gimmick, every time you use an element or attribute, you will gain the type of that attribute. So if you use electric, you will gain electric mark. And once it hits 3 marks, the boss will summon a Rakshasa, and then once you kill the Rakshasa, you will get a buff to that type. For this case, it will be electric because I'm using YUI, and YUI especially is good here because her follow attack counts towards the mark, so you can very quickly summon and kill the Rakshasa in 2 turns, which is what you want to do. You want to summon it quick, kill it quick, then you can start doing big damage in the last 4 turns. So this is definitely a more premium team. If you want a more free-to-play guide, you can click the right corner where I use Fluret. For this team, it's very interesting because usually in battles, we can do only 4 highlights in 6 turns. But for this team, and with a specific rotation, you can actually get 5 highlights in 6 turns, which is massive because that would increase your damage, right? Highlight is always useful for whichever character or whichever team. So here's something that probably many people might not know. The first thing is that extra action counts towards the gauge of your highlight. So Joker can actually speed up your highlight gauge. Okay, maybe this people have already realized, but the other thing that people probably don't know is that if you hit a weakness, you will charge the gauge by 4%. So normally for every action it's 17%, but if you hit a weakness, you will charge it by 4%. And since Yui can spam follow-up attacks, she can also speed up the highlight gauge. Because you imagine if every turn you do like 3 follow-ups, that is 12% to your highlight already, which is why it's possible to get 5 highlights in 6 turns. And it requires a little bit of luck, especially on the first turn, because on the first turn you want to hit pretty much all your highlight attacks to guarantee that 5 highlights. Let's talk about the team. So for Joker, I already explained a bit. He's actually not there for damage. He is there to activate his extra action. So at 3 stacks of Wheel of Rebellion, you get the extra action, and you have to ensure that you get the extra action every single turn except for the first turn, because it's not possible to get extra action on the first turn. Unless your Joker is super strong, then possible. Make sure you count the number of stacks you have. Just make sure you have 3 every time to trigger the extra action. And you don't actually even need to use the skill 3 because skill 3 doesn't give you any stacks. So you'll be using a lot of skill 1 and skill 2. You only use skill 3 at the end of the fight, but you don't really care about the stacks anymore because it's the last turn, right? And since it's not using DPS, I've completely used a different set of cards. So I'm using the Prosperity set. This will give you 25% highlight gauge or the start battle, which is very important to ensure the 5 highlights. Even in regular battles, also important because it ensures a 4 highlight cycle. The Departure and Prosperity also gives a bit of damage buff here, so that's nice also. Then I do have his 5-star weapon, but not as useful because, like I said, not really for damage. And then this is a stat screen. My Joker is definitely weaker, with lower crit rate and stuff because I'm using a different set. Then let's talk about Yui. The Yui, shout out to Shan for the Yui. It's not my Yui. So Yui is pretty fun but also frustrating at the same time, because her follow-up attack only has a 65% chance to trigger. Oh no, it's less than that. Oh, it's 35%. Oh, it's worse than I thought. Oh my god. Okay, it's 35% chance. No wonder I was struggling. I thought it was 65. I think 65 was her... Wait, it was not 65? I think I remember wrongly. I think you get a 10% increase from your skill 3. Okay, I guess I've misremembered. So only a 35% chance to trigger, and you need to trigger 2 follow-ups in the first battle. So that's basically triggering 2 follow-up attacks in a row, and the chance of doing that is about 12%. So you probably have to restart quite a number of times. It took me a lot of tries before recording this video. I have to try out the rotations many times, right? It was super frustrating to make this guide because I have to waste so many time restarting the fight to make sure I get the follow-up attacks. Once you've triggered the first 2 follow-up attacks, you should be okay until the end of the fight. If for any reason you cannot get the 5 highlights in the battle, just restart and try again. So you won't be using her skill 2 at all because it's not that useful. Skill 1, skill 3, your rotation will be. And skill 3, nothing about skill 3 is that at least it will guarantee a follow-up attack on your target, and you want to use this on Joker. So every time Joker attacks, she'll get the follow-up attack. And since Joker can use extra action, that means you get an extra follow-up attack every turn, which is quite massive because that's extra damage, and also increase your gauge faster because, like I said, electric damage on electric weak balls will increase your gauge by 4% every time you hit. Then her highlight also very good, increase a lot of damage and attack, and also make sure that every single ally will trigger follow-up attack when they use a skill. Only skill, gun doesn't count, so if you debuff with Soy's gun, it doesn't count as a skill, so it doesn't proc the flower attack. And you want to shock the opponent also, and this is where another part of the RNG comes, because sometimes you might miss the shock because your chance of shocking is not really high. It's not really high, it's only 60% chance. And you do need to use another shock persona, and even with another shock persona, it's not guaranteed to shock. Shock is very useful because it increases the crit damage they take, which pretty much buffs your damage, and also buff Yui's passive here. Because electric persona can also buff your electric harmony, because you don't have any more electric persona characters. Here is the card. Again, this is not my Yui. It's using the best set here for more damage. And then weapon, 5-star weapon, basically increases crit, fallout damage. And then this is a stat. Make sure that Yui, ideally you do want Yui to be, you need to have Yui be faster than Joker, so that Yui can use the skill tree on Joker. And ideally, if you want, you can make Yui be slower than Wonder and Soy. So Yui should be the third to move. As you can see on the screen here, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the rotation. But if your Yui is faster than Soy, that's still okay. But very important for Yui to be faster than Joker. Okay, then of course we have Soy. He's there to help tank a bit, as well as debuff with skill 2 and skill 3. And then I'll be using actually everybody's highlight here, including Soy's, because Soy's one can help increase our max HP to tank a bit more, just in case we die. And then for Revelation card, this one for HP and also some debuff here. And then weapon, 4-star weapon, also for HP to tank more. And this is the stats screen. And then our navigator is Puppet. She is there for skill 1, skill 3, skill 1 to get shield, skill 3 to get shield, and also buff a bit of damage if you have 4 stacks. And then Revelation cards, so more defense and shield. Weapon also for more defense and shield. And then this is the stat screen. So for Wonder's persona, right, this is the more interesting part. I'll actually only be using one persona. The other two personas are not. I won't be using them in battle. Okay, maybe, okay, what you'll say, I'll be technically using him. I'll be putting him as my first in slot. And that's because he can inflict the mark. But other than that, on the first time, I'll just immediately swap to Yolanga, because Yolanga is pretty good for electric team. So this worm is really solid, especially for electric team. Be sure to give him Rakunda to debuff defense. You need this for more damage. Shock boost also important for higher chance to inflict shock. So then give him 0-9 to inflict the shock. Sadly, it's not 100%, which means that there's a chance you will not shock, which would kind of suck, because shock directly links to his passive. So his passive is really good. So just being on the field, just equipping it, it will activate the passive, which is why I'll be using Yolanga the entire time. The moment I swap Yolanga, the passive will disappear and the buff will also disappear. So the buff is that the foes will take 14% more crit damage and 9% more if the target is shocked, which is why shocking is very important. Not only to activate the passive, also remember Yui's passive also can increase if you attack a shocked opponent. So RNG might screw you over and not shock the opponent, and your points, so damage will be lower. But that's just part of the game. This fight will take you a while to try and get the points, because the first time you have to land 2 flower attacks, like I mentioned just now. But yeah, let's begin. So on this very first turn, you want to trigger at least 2 flower attacks. The first one from Wonder, the other one from Joker. And that will guarantee 5 highlights for this battle, which is very important. Finally, it took like freaking 8 attempts to trigger this flower attack. Okay, so Soy will use gun here to debuff. So use it until debuff. Once you have debuff, you stop, because you need the gun later on. Okay, first try, that's very good. Then you will actually use skill 1 here. So this will be the third mark, and we'll summon the Rakshasa. But now Joker will actually skill 1 the Rakshasa, and you have to get the full out attack here. It's very important. Okay, very good. We can continue the fight. Finally, took a while to get to this point. Okay, now we use Puppet. Skill 1. Now we can actually use the highlight, which is quite nice. And I will definitely use Yui's one here. This will guarantee 100% full up chance for the next 2 turns. So no luck finally. And now I'll actually use 0-9 to do damage from the Rakshasa, and hopefully this kills. Ideally, you want to kill this. Come on. Okay, very good. So I will skill 2 the boss. This will also follow up attack because it's guaranteed. Then Yui will skill 3 to buff both Joker and herself. So the follow up attack will do even more damage. Okay, Joker will skill 2. And then skill 2 again. Or maybe even skill 1. I think it's someone again here. Okay, no, not yet, not yet. So now you can just skill 2 again to make sure you have as many stacks as possible. Because Joker's job here is not to do damage, but to trigger extra action every time. This should summon. Okay. Okay, he's starting to do a bit of damage. Ooh, that's bad. A bit scary. But with skill 1, we puppet. Get the shoot. The Wonder will again 0-9 on Rakshasa. So I won't be switching personas at all. I'll be using Yolanga the entire time because of his passive. Oh, good, very good. It kills. Now I'll use Wonder's highlight. This will debuff the boss. Then now Soi, skill 2 again. Follow attack. Okay, and Yui can skill 1 here. Do some damage. And inflict a shock please. Oh, no shock. It's not shock, right? That's a bit unfortunate. So this fight is going to be a bit luck based with the follow up attacks and the chance to inflict the shock. If you don't inflict the shock, you will do less damage. And follow up attack again. Then the extraction. Then this one I'll just use skill 1 here. Because I already have 4 stacks. So I need to get 1 more. It's gonna hurt. Okay, Yui survived, good. And now this is a 4th turn. We use Puppet skill 3 to buff damage and get some shields. And now Wonder we use Rakunda. Now so we use gun. And you can just spam everything here to do a bit of extra damage. And then for highlight, I'll use Soi's highlight here because we might die here if we don't use it. Just to decrease our chances. This will increase our max HP, tank a bit more. Hopefully we can survive. And then we can skill 3 on Joker. Joker with skill 2. And then extra action skill 1. Okay. Get the extra action again. Okay, we are fine. 2 more turns. Now Wonder will just continue spamming 0-9. Okay, good shock. Then Soi will skill 2. Debuff. Yui can skill 1. That's pretty good damage. Then of course we use Yui's highlight here. Joker will skill 2. You should do pretty good damage. Yeah, 50k, nice. Then we can actually just skill 3 here. Because if you use skill 3, we'll have 1 more Will Rebellion, right? And then the next time we can use skill 2 and then skill 3 again. So it's going to use skill 3. Just make sure that you can... The important thing is that you need to make sure that you can activate the extra action every time with Joker. So Yui can keep using the follow attack. Then again, 0-9. This should trigger follow also because it's guaranteed. So I actually will skill 1 here. There's no need to skill 2 anymore because we already debuffed the previous turn, and then skill 1 will do more damage because this is not resisted. Okay. And then we skill 3 again. Let's see how many stacks of seashell. Oh, 3 stacks, that's good. So that means YUI can get the damage buff here. Very good. Okay, we'll skill 3, Joker. Then on Joker's turn, Joker will skill 2, this will activate extra action, and also the highlight. So this is the 5th highlight of the battle. We literally highlight every single turn except for the first turn. So this is the power of extra action, as well as the opponent being weak to YUI's follow-up attack, because that quickly charges the gauge, so we are allowed to highlight 5 times in this battle. Okay, now we can just skill 3. Then the last extra action, follow-up attack, I think this is a new record actually, 1.4. I think I might have a new one. Nice!